Hey guys, I am bringing you a quick little run through of a deck list I've been running at Edison tournament for the past couple of weeks. I've gone essentially 10-0 at this point, I think, with it, or 10-2, maybe 13-2. I forget exactly how many weeks I've been playing it, but I think 3 or 4. I've only experienced 2 match losses, and I've actually won first place twice with it. So first, I'm going to point out this beautiful, beautiful Stardust Dragon mat that I just picked up last week. That is now my Edison format mat moving forward. I've been looking for this for a while. It was some kind of $60 entry mat that I was able to pick up a week ago for a relatively good price, I thought, compared to, how high some of the stuff got. And then tonight, today rather, I got first place and ended up winning this really awesome Stardust Dragon pop Funko thing. So that's gonna come out and find a nice spot on one of my shelves around my house. And then a really cool call out to these beautiful, beautiful Glacier Dragon Shield sleeves. So I do double sleeve and saw these Glacier sleeves. I think it is the perfect color for the deck that I run, which is Fairies. So I'm gonna hop right in. I think I've done pretty much the same deck that I've been running for the past couple of weeks, but maybe I did a video, not too much changed. Starting with the 3 ofs, I run 3 of Herald of Orange Light. Not enough can be said about Herald of Orange Light, I guess, even going at a minus, but this is a card that took me a while to actually figure out the timing of in order to stop tempo. It's that tempo stopper. It does protect a lot of your monsters, but it's really there for the tempo. You never realize how important normal summons are in Edison format until you're able to stop or start stopping them. Very similar to like Solemn Warning, for example, in later formats. Being able to hit like Caius or Brionic or something with this card is actually insane. Next up, I run 3 DD Warrior Ladies. So DD Warrior Lady being the primary removal of the deck. It's pretty insane. Combos really well, obviously, with Shining Angel and then with Return from a Different Dimension. Definitely won me several matches tonight. I think my worst matchup probably has to be Frogs. And both these cards are pretty invaluable in the Frog matchup. Maybe Herald a little less, but being able to hit a Caius or Junk Synchron just to get rid of that normal summon and potentially hit out one of their dupe Frogs, if they have something like that, out of the way is really good. And DD Warrior Lady, obviously being able to remove their Frogs in the graveyard, specifically Treeborn Frog. Everyone talks about Substoad, but Treeborn Frog I think is the real just criminal over in the Frog Monarch deck. But DD Warrior Lady, really, really good. Outing big monsters, really, really good. Especially just anything with high defense. I got stuck. I'll talk about it a little bit. I got stuck behind a hamster tonight, just sitting and waiting and passing. It happens. DD Warrior Lady, I didn't actually used to out it, but it happens. Probably the most controversial part of this deck is I play both the 3 Shining Angel, which is a must, obviously. But I also play 3 copies of Nova Summoner. So if you don't know, Shining Angel searches out any light in attack position. Nova Summoner searches out any fairy in any position, both under 1500. Nova Summoner being obviously another summon into Shining Angel. So I'm gonna play 40 cards. Some people say they're okay with 5 copies. I think 5 copies is really good too. They say they only play 6 copies if they played 42 or 41, 42 cards. I only play 40 cards, and I will say for 6 copies, I love it. I love opening double, sometimes even triple recruiter. It's not the greatest thing in the world to see 3 of, but just in a format where I know one is typically slow enough that I'm probably not losing on that first turn, or second turn for that matter, or even third turn, who knows. But being able to start being aggressive with these guys, it is so important for this deck to get in the small hits where you can. And if I can just summon a recruiter and get in for 14, or even just the option to, like I said, sorry, I see little specks inside the sleeves that bother me. Be able to just get in for 14, or start picking out D-Prisons or Mirror Force or Compulse Book of Moons, whatever it might be, because they don't want to take damage. I think that's invaluable. To be able to summon Nova Summoner and swing just to hit D-Prison and save a Shining Angel that might be in my hand, I love it. But obviously it also combos extremely well with my 2 of Christia. So I was originally playing 3 Christia a while ago, but I was just seeing it way too often. I would start hitting 2, 3 Christias, almost every match I was hitting 2 or 3 Christias. So I did back it down to 2. I was, hesitant to do it, but to be honest, I think 2 is really the perfect number. And even then tonight, I almost lost my final match because I opened up double Christia with no recruiter. So, Christia, I like 2 copies. I'll keep it at 2 copies. You definitely just win matches because of Christia. It's kind of insane. Then I play 2 Thunder Kings. Now here's something, everyone talks about Thunder Kings okay as a side, and I always see things like, Thunder King's no good in the main, and I could not disagree less. Thunder King Ryo in the main is astounding. It stops, like Hamster, for example. It actually was Thunder King that ended up getting me over a Hamster at one point tonight. The only thing it's stopped by defense-wise, and defense is a huge thing. I keep bringing that up because just like a Spy or a Toad or Dupe Frog or whatever in defense, just completely stalls this deck, and it's so difficult to get around. Thunder King helps that by alleviating outs to, or alleviating by being an out to at least Hamster. Can swing over Stratos, swing over Lila. It can swing over, all these other things, Greffer, whatever it might be. Everyone talks about, but then, just Armor Wing or Armed Wing, whatever, like Vayu gets over it, and it's like, who cares? If you go turn 1 Greffer with turn 1 Thunder King with pretty much any amount of protective back rows, it's one of the best cards in the game. Not to mention, it combos obviously incredibly well with double Honest. So Honest, again, being like Honest plus Herald, like these cards alone are what really make fairies and unfair. Christia is just icing on top of the cake, and then really right here, these 6 cards and essentially these 9 cards, I would say are the core engine for why this deck is difficult to get with. But Thunder King with Honest and Herald is just a really unfair card. To include, it just gets around warriors or heroes rather, pretty much heroes, just crushes zombies. Can help in the frog matchup, stopping dupe searching from deck or something like that. Stopping, big synchros, whatever it might be. It stops Dad, Cyber Dragon, another Archlord Christia, all those types of things. So Thunder King's insane. But what's really special to it and what I really enjoy about it is Thunder King also eats up the bottomless trap holes and the deep prisons that would otherwise stop Christia. So I really enjoy Thunder King. I think 1900 is extremely important in this deck because you lack real strength and power other than Christia. So I will continue to run 2 Thunder King. 3, probably a little bit too much, but 2, I've been really enjoying too. Going with 2 Dimensional Alchemist because I guess it's kind of similar to Shining Angel Nova Summoner. If I open up both of them, it's not too bad. But I definitely had a lot of scenarios where I don't want to open up Dimensional Alchemist. I think it's just a really good target to hit off Shining Angel. It's fun to use because Dimensional Alchemist makes it pretty easy to loop Christia. With it, he gets hit by the D Prison or the Bottomless. Obviously, Alchemist is able to loop that as being maybe the 4th fairy in the grave. Get it back, summon it. They destroy it, get back Christia. Now you're back to 4 fairies, summon Christia, get back Alchemist. That kind of cycle. So I really enjoy Alchemist for that reason. But 3 Alchemists, I think is just too much. 1800 is a really good attack stat for crashing again with Stratos, Shura. No, Thunder King's also really good against Black Wings too. But crashing with those 2 or whatever it might be. Alchemist, good card. Really good, obviously, with DD Warrior Lady and Cyber Valley. So I do opt for Mind Control, Brain Control, Cyber Valley. I think that's really, really good. Again, 6 recruiters that constantly just search into stuff. Cyber Valley making return that much better. But it's also just, again, an easy out to other big opposing monsters. Be it Synchros, Absolute Zero, Archlord Christia, a Duplock, whatever it might be. I think for that reason alone, Cyber Valley is just, it's an incredible card and just worth throwing in literally any fairy deck. Just because, again, even Mind Control, Brain Control, even without Cyber Valley, they're insane because Herald is really an unsung hero for how often you go into specifically Brionic to get 4 fairies in the grave, maybe bounce some problematic cards, drop Christia, and just win. So that's pretty good. And then I play Freed, a good card, +1 on summon, helps control the graveyard a little bit. Really good, obviously, even more so with the 6 recruiters, builds up for return. I like Freed. No problem with that, nothing special to say. The 1 Gores, and I've been trying out 1 of Spirit Reaper, and I've really been enjoying it. Spirit Reaper adds a lot of pressure that fairies otherwise don't have for the most part because everyone's attack is so darn low. Reaper's been kind of helping with that, If they do have some kind of set back row, 1400, unless they're getting low in life, or 1300 or whatever, even 1500, it's typically not going to be enough to make them want to start forcing out back rows. Reaper is an easy +1 if it gets that direct attack, or just starts baiting out back rows because they don't want to lose their in-hand cards, be it Book of Moon, which is the best outcome, Book of Moon, D-Prison, Mirror Force, even like Torrents, whatever it might be. So I really enjoyed Speed Reaper. It also has some good staying power. Typically, fairies are known for having at least something on field because they're recruiters, but you don't really realize how easy it is to get stuff away, like off field without battle, until you start playing the recruiters, be it, again, Caius, any one of the trap cards I've mentioned numerous times, Absolute Zero, or just whatever it might be, Dark Arm Dragon, Judgment Dragon, who knows. You don't really realize like how easy it is to do this until you start playing recruiters. And I think Spirit Reaper adds just another layer of, I will have something on my side of the field to prevent you from making direct attacks that otherwise would lose me the game. Because you run this many monsters, it's going to take away from your spell and traps a little bit. I think I do run a pretty hefty spell trap lineup to protect my life points, but Spirit Reaper has been a very clutch, a very good card, allowing me to just keep that field presence. And every time I have summoned it, there have been a couple games where you just get 2, 3, one time I think I got 4 attacks with Spirit Reaper and just start pulling away cards, and at that point you've already won. So I really have enjoyed Spirit Reaper. Highly recommend other players try it out. I do run 3 Book of Moons. Again, this kind of goes in hand with, similar to what I was saying about Thunder King, is Thunder King plus back row is just very difficult. Something like Sirocco is probably one of the main outs to Thunder King. Obviously, Book of Moon stops that. Also helps with the Black Whirlwinds, helps with Monarchs, helps with, I don't know, you name it, Book of Moon helps. Dark Arm Dragon, other Christias, Phosphodinas, Vanity's Fiend is a very big one. Anything in Frog breaks Duplock. So Book of Moon, I really enjoyed 3. It has been very clutch. The one of Mind Control and one of Brain Control. And then 1 Heavy Storm, 1 Space Typhoon. That rounds up all the spells. And then going on to traps, I have 2 Bottomless. It's weird. I've gained a very strong appreciation for Bottomless since playing this deck. I typically have played zombies, and whenever I played zombies, I would not even consider Bottomless, because I think in most zombie builds, it's typically, because I played the a malicious build, so I think Bottomless is usually not nearly as good as Phoenix Wind Blast, because I love triple Wind Blast with Stratos to get a Stratos Wind Blast. I think it's one of the best turn 1 plays in Edison format. So Bottomless would always be relegated to a side deck or just not played at all. However, Bottomless plus basically any recruiter, Thunder King, you name it, is just absolutely stellar. Being able to stop Vayus and like their synchros and break that synchro cycle for Vayus and stuff like that, amazing. Then I run 1 D-Prison. So I do run 1 D-Prison with 1 Mirror Force. I do like the dichotomy of the double battle traps. Maybe it's not really a dichotomy, but I do love having 2 battle traps. 2 D-Prison I would be okay with, but I'm okay with 1 D-Prison, 1 Mirror Force, keeping it 40. Then we have 1 Torrent, 1 Return, 1 Call. Call might be the best trap card in this entire deck, to be honest. To be able to call Thunder King, Recruiter, Christia, like Call's very, very good. Dust Shoot, which is just an insane card. Also wins games. Solemn, because I think it's the second best trap card, Dust Shoot. And Torrent. So Torrent's a card that I'm kind of struggling with. Not to say it's a bad card by any means, but I don't think it's the right card for this deck. I did not find much success between that and Mirror Force, but I think Mirror Force is probably a little bit better. I might try swapping this out for a compulsory and just see how they play. Torrent's probably better for, I'm not exactly sure what matchups, to be honest, but some matchups I'm sure. Compared to Compulse, just is very similar to Book of Moon, I guess, and helps with very similar problems as Book of Moon. But also just being able to out those synchro monsters, specifically things like Brio, that that if they summon Brio, they're probably just going to go for game. And I guess I could Torrent on the Brio, but still getting the bouts. And Torrent's obviously very awkward when you're also running recruiters, and it's kind of easy to play around. So being a field wipe, obviously incredibly good, but I just personally have not found much success with Torrent. So I might try swapping it out for Compulse, see how that plays out. But that is the main deck. And then going into the side deck, I was trying to build for something a little bit more standard, I guess might be the way to put it, but I've actually found a lot of success with this side deck. 1 breaker, 1 consecrated. I did try double. I might go back double. Right now I'm running a Banisher, and Banisher of the Radiance was really, really good for many matchups. Obviously helps with my very weak Frog matchup, helps with, you know, zombies, which might be the most popular deck. I think it's actually pretty decent in both Blackwing matchups, including like Vayu too. Just because, again, Banisher, similar to Thunder King, Banisher plus back row can be extremely tough to play around. Stops Collude, but it also turns off my own Vayu, turns off my hand traps, things like that. But I think Banisher is a good card just for early disruption and really can set another deck off of its game plan. Maybe if not for the match, then definitely for a couple of turns. I ran 2 Noblemen. I think I would drop this down to 1 Nobleman for sure. I want to keep at least 1. 2 matches I definitely sided in. I played against Burn and I played against Quick Draw too. So I put in 1 Nobleman against Quick Draw, and it actually ended up just winning me the game by hitting me a Dandelion, and helped a lot versus Burn too. So the Burn guy he's typically a goat player and wanted to do some goat stuff in Edison too, use things like Desk Koala and whatnot. Came extremely close to beating me. But I did end up pulling it through because of Nobleman Crosshouse. So I don't think that's a very prevalent matchup, and certainly not one to think I need to have 2 Noblemans because of a flip Burn deck in Edison format. But I definitely will be keeping at least 1 copy, so I think I might drop another one to either drop one of those to make space for Banisher or another Consecrated. My body, you know, obviously really good in some matchups, be it Black Wings, be it against things like JD or Gladiator Beast, hit like Izaris or Murmillo or whatever. Good card, I like it inside. Double Oppression, another card that I'm actually looking to possibly put in the main. I think in a lot of matchups I had tonight, it would have helped a lot. It's not bad against many of the new Frog decks running around that are pretty more tuner heavy with Junk Synchron, things like that. And even with the new Frog Burn deck, you know, just still stopping those. It loses out bad to things. Obviously, Treeborn Caius is not good against it, but I think you can make some critical stops with this. I really enjoy 2 in the extra. I side them in pretty often. Maybe I'll just keep them extra and just keep the Compulse in the main. I'll try Compulse in main, but I could definitely see a reason to put one of the Oppressions in the main. 2 Massacre Strict. I side them in, did not draw them. I'll keep them in. I don't think I have any reason not to put them in. And then Triple Dust Tornado. Also extremely clutch, and I will keep Triple Dust Tornado in. Some I have been toying around with is dropping my trap line up down a little bit and just putting in Double Decree, because I think that solves a lot of the same problems as like Dust Tornado would against things like Light and Breezing Mirror and whatnot, which is also obviously why I have Breaker. Breaker's pretty solid too, but definitely got a lot of use out of the Triple Dust Tornado tonight, that's for sure. When they sided in Light and Breezing Mirrors or in the Burn matchup, for example. And then going into the extra deck, shouldn't be anything special here. I have 1 Stardust, 1 Colossal Fighter, 1 Darkened, Thought Ruler, Avenging Knight. Where we at? 1 Mistworm, 1 Black Rose, Ancient Sacred Wyvern, 1 Bryonic, 1 Goyo, Cataster, Android, Armory Arm, and these 2. So I think probably Armory Arm could be dropped for maybe literally anything else. I'm not sure I have a real reason to run it, to be honest. But no reason not to, I guess. Going through here, Android could have been very crucial. These 2 weren't bad, especially with the Reaper in the lineup. Goyo, I don't know if I've ever made. Brio comes out at least once every 2-3 matches and just wins the game. Brio's insane, and this extra deck could basically just come down to 1 Brio and then these 2, and I'd probably get the exact same results. Just being able to synchro into it and then drop up to 4 fairies just to drop Chrissy is insane. Being able to Light and Prisoning Mirror or whatever, just back rows is insane. Brio just opens up a lot of the plays that otherwise would be crushing. And then it actually ended up winning me the match, one of my games tonight against the Burn deck, because he had, what did he end up having? It was a very crazy play where he had, what's that card called? He had a Messenger of Peace, a set monster, and then I can't think of it, the field spell that has monsters attacks when they're summoned and some other stuff. I had a set Thunder King and a set Honest because I wanted to get around his field spell. And then when you normal summon or special summon, it gives a token. So I was able to normal summon Herald, flip Honest, Synchro into Brio. Brio's effect, discard a Christia, which put 4 fairies in my grave. Brio, discard Christia as well as a Thunder King in my hand to bounce the Messenger, bounce the, is it Black Forest? Is that its name? I can't think of it, but bounce the field spell. Flip my Thunder King, special my other Christia. Christia got back Honest, swing with Christia, drop the Honest, which ended up being 2,000 plus 800, so would have been 36 over, ended up doing 2,800, and he had 2,600 life points left, I believe. So Brio won me that match. It won me a match against Frogs as well. Very similar fashion where discard a 4 and then special summon Christia, and then that was just the game from there. So Brio, awesome. Obviously Goyo, really good, but not as good as Brio. Ancient Synchroed Wyvern here for access with Cyber Dragon. Very easy to get huge damage or just a huge beater. Again, something this deck really lacks are typically monsters with really big attack. So being able to have access to this Ancient Sacred Wyvern, pretty important. Very similar with Black Rose, is that just being able to blow up the field. I've won several like Frog matchups, for example, by Cyber Dragon, Herald. They had a lot on the field, and just Black Rose blow it up, and my hand would have been bigger. Mistworm actually also won me a match where the guy had out, is against Quick Draw, had out an Iron Chain, a Junk Archer, and like a back row, and I just summoned Mistworm. It got bottomless, but my other monsters were able to just swing through for game because I bounced back both of his back rows. Avenging Knight, I don't know. I don't run the Soul of Purity and Light, so I'm not sure that I really need this, but certainly there's no reason not to have it when it is a pretty vital card. And by that I mean there's not a single monster in Edison format besides what I understand, Galvatron Dragon, that Avenging Knight does not get over. So if at some point, you know, even it comes up, might be rare, but to brain or mind control another Soul of Purity, like whatever it is, and then synchro into this, it guarantees I'm able to get over whatever's on the field, because they're running Soul Purity and Light, they're probably not running Galvatron Dragon. So very important card to have, and there's no reason not to have it when you have so much just available space. One Thought Ruler, one Colossal Fighter, also obviously, you know, obviously a great card. Dark End, because if they leave up Caius or Chaos Sorcerer, that's what I was saying, Chaos Sorcerer. Easily go into this, and this can ruin some days too. And those two are cards that are typically left face up oftentimes. And then the one of Stardust, that should just probably be in every single extra deck, because Stardust, I think, is the best synchro. So for matches tonight, I played against, round 1 was Quick Draw, probably one of the tougher matches. And maybe the guy was newer. He had a few times where he could have gone into Black Rose and would have just won the game because I had so much on the field compared to 1 or 2 cards in hand to his 5 cards. But he was running Morphing Jar, and that actually got me. He almost won simply because he had Morphing Jar. Flipped it when I attacked, and then I lost like 4 cards in hand, and he only lost like 1, and we became pretty much even in advantage, but I was just able to outgrind him, and then, like I said, won because of the No Myth Crossout. Yeah, No Myth Crossout. And then round 2 was versus Frog. I think he was also he was new to the deck, not the format. And I don't think he ran the deck as it should have been ran. But game 1, he left a Caius on board. I got out Christia, and it was very short. Game 2, maybe he didn't open up so well, but he had double Soul Exchange for some recruiters. Still got rid of like 2 back rows, I think. Hitting a bottomless, which I hit with a Caius, and he hit Mirror Force with the other one. But I was able to just crawl through that and win. I didn't use Christia that game. Going to round 3 was versus Diva Hero Zombie. And game 1, Christia just beat him down. I said, hey, do you want a side or do you not want a side? He said he wanted a side, so I sided in double Oppression. And then Oppression got him game 2. And then I won that. And then going into match 3, or match 4 rather, was against, what'd I say, the Burn deck. And that was, there's not much to say. He just had the cards, and I eventually got the outs with Brionic. Game 1, I did not. He beat me, and I was worried. Game 2, I won pretty handily, and then game 3, he got me down to 300 life points, and he just ran out of burn cards. But that is the deck that I was running that I have been doing extremely well with. Let me know what you guys think. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching. Bye.